What's the rush? Why are you driving so fast?
I'm in a rush to get home because I want to see Baggy Hi-Fi.
Greetings cats and kittens, welcome once again to Baggy Hi-Fi, this YouTube channel devoted to record collecting and the vinyl community here in the UK. Well, it's time to enter a competition. There are loads of competitions usually on the VC, and this is one that is very simple, one which caught my eye, and it's been set by Glen Kellaway, a channel I wasn't familiar with. Glen Kellaway from the basement, very likeable VCer from Canada, I think, likes prog and the Grateful Dead and that kind of thing. And some of his recent videos, I think he was in Florida on holiday, so it's nice to see some warm weather and blue skies, which we haven't had here in the UK for a while. So yeah, I thought I'd respond because all he's asked people to do, and quite a lot of people have entered this competition, this contest, is to show 3 progressive rock records, 3 prog records from your collection. Now, I've recently been reading a book about prog, and it's called A New Day Yesterday by Mike Barnes. Quite a hefty tome, and you can see that's where I'm up to at the moment, just over halfway through. And it's a really fascinating, very detailed account of the beginnings of UK progressive rock, where he argues that style of music originated. And so I do recommend this book because it's obvious that Mike Barnes has really listened carefully to the records he's talking about, and the research is really impressive. There's quite a lot of humour in here as well. He doesn't take it too seriously, but at the same time he does argue that prog music is well worth listening to. Because at one time prog was a style of music which maybe some of us would feel embarrassed to say we like, because there was a time, especially in the music press, when it was almost, which side of the barricade are you on? And that the kind of aftershocks of punk, or the punk revolution, almost made it seem that, you had to reject 70s prog, particularly, as being excessive, or just all about techno-flash virtuosity in music. But that's not what it was all about. There are aspects of that showing off, which you get in bands like ELP and other bands, but prog or progressive rock is a much broader area than many people would normally think, especially those people who don't like, or say they don't like, prog. Anyway, this contest came to my attention because I saw that Mazzy had commented on it, and Mazzy has a kind of sitting on the fence attitude, I think, possibly to prog, but he showed some Procol Harum records, and yeah, with some justification, claimed that they are prog. So yeah, I'd recommend this book, and probably because I have been reading this book, the 3 records I'm going to show from my collection, which are prog, are from this era of the 70s in the UK. So the first record I'm going to show is one I've had since I was about 18, and I do love this record. I keep returning to it. It's by a band called Egg, and it's their final album, The Civil Surface. Now, Egg formed in, I think, about 1968, and they were originally called Uriel, and they featured Steve Hillage. Inspired by the Soft Machine and bands like The Nice, who were incorporating classical elements into their music and were keyboard based. Well, this band, Egg, were a trio, very much keyboard based. Dave Stewart, keyboard player there. And on this album, they had actually split up by this time, split up about 1972, but they still had quite a lot of material to record, so they came back together in 1974 and recorded this album for the Caroline label, which was a budget label connected with Virgin Records. There's the label there, another Roger Dean designed label like the original Virgin label was. So I think this is their best record, and it's very austere. These are compositions, quite structured, almost like sort of chamber prog, I would say. But it's not just the keyboards on here and the bass and the drums. There's also oboe and bassoon from Lindsay Cooper and Tim Hodgkinson from Henry Cow, and there are some really lovely backing vocals, wordless backing vocals on here by a trio called the Northettes. I think they were called the Northettes because they sang also on Hatfield in the North albums, but that's another story altogether. So this is one I treasure. It's a really complex album, repays many listens. It's Egg, The Civil Surface from 1974. This next prog record from my collection is by a band called Spring, and it falls into the sort of more melodic, moody blues-ish end of prog. If you like mellotron, then Spring are a band for you because they featured 3 mellotron players. They only recorded 1 album, and this is it. Spring, self-titled, from 1971. This is a reissue on the Karma label, because if you want an original it's going to cost you about £400. It was issued on the RCA subsidiary, prog subsidiary, Neon, a label which makes record collectors of the early 70s drool. But it's a lovely album, really beautiful melodic tunes drenched in mellotron. This version is a double album version which contains some extras. It has a trifold sleeve. I'm not sure whether a Karma label is an official label or whether this is a bootleg, but it does play very well. It's a nice pressing. So there you go, Spring, and the cover is designed by an artist of the time called Keith, who designed the first Black Sabbath sleeve, which we all love, I think. This one's not so great, but it is quite enigmatic, this soldier lying dead in a stream. There you go, Spring.
Taps the loving stare, conducting silence.
third and final UK prog album I'm going to show is in more avant-garde territory, but nevertheless I think it is progressive rock, even though it does include influences from avant-garde 20th century classical music and also jazz. That unique band who were Henry Cow. Now, I've owned most of Henry Cow's albums on vinyl for quite a long time, but I only last year caught up with this album, Henry Cow Concerts, and it's as you'd imagine, it's a live album, double live album. There they are. Big group, unusual instruments, probably apparently as a reaction against the elaborate stage sets of the time, which many prog bands had. Henry Cow decided to downplay that by having a kind of domestic furniture on the stage and play on a carpet. But this is from 1975, and so by that time the wonderful Dagmar Krause was on vocals. And it's a really impressive live album. The second LP in this double LP set features them improvising, which they would do a lot when they played live, and a real fiercely impressive improvisation going on. But the first disc features songs from their albums, but also including some performances that they did with Robert Wyatt, who performed with them for a while. So there's some Robert Wyatt tunes from the era of his fantastic Rock Bottom album. So there is quite a lot more of Henry Cow's live material issued on CD through the recommended label, or the RER label, but this is from when I think this is their final album for Virgin, and good on Virgin Records for actually signing a band as avant-garde as Henry Cow. So there we are, that's my entry into Glen Kellaway's contest. If you don't already know Glen, do go over to his channel, Glen Kellaway from the Basement. He makes videos quite regularly. So that's it for now.